Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought we'd make a fun little out of this world alien Christmas card, and we're going to be using some masking techniques. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with these images here, and we're going to use the little spaceship, the three little aliens, and that package there. And this is from the Beam Me Up set, and we have the coordinating dies as well, and later we'll be using that one die there. So I'm going to be doing my stamping on the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and I'm going to be inking up these images using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink pad. So I'm going to go ahead and ink those up and stamp those. Now I do need a second one of that little package there, and I also want to put one of the aliens in the spaceship here. So in order to do that, I need to mask off the bottom part of that spaceship. So I'm just going to grab a little post-it note here and block that off. Now, I'm just going to cut this paper down a little bit here because it was kind of overhanging the stamp positioner there. So I'm going to line it up right on that black line, and then I'm going to position the little alien in place. I'm going to go ahead and ink these up and stamp these images. And you can see that that will put that alien right inside the little dome of that spaceship there. So now I'm going to also grab a couple of different packages here from the Ho Ho Holidays stamp and die set. So I'm going to just stamp these two additional packages, again using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And now I've got everything all set. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all the coordinating dies, and I'm going to tape those down with a little bit of purple tape. And I'm going to run these through my little Sizzix Sidekick machine. And you can see I can get quite a few on that little plate there. So now that I've got those all die cut, I'm going to go ahead and start to color these in. I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens in the fluorescent green and the dark green. And I'm going to go ahead and start with that lightest color first. Then I'm going to add that darker green. And then I'm going to use that blender pen there just to blend these two together. You do want to clean it off first just to make sure you're not transferring any ink from your last project. And you just want to write on a scrap piece of paper until it goes clear, and then you'll know that it's clean. And then I'm going to just blend those into the center, keeping that center part the lightest. Now I'm going to grab the light blue, and I'm just going to go right around the dome of that little spaceship, cleaning off my blender pen, and now I'm just going to blend that blue kind of in towards the center. Now with the wine red, I'm going to do the little lights on the spaceship, and I thought I would do it in the Christmas green and red, and I'm just blending that out a little bit. Now for the little alien, I'm going to be using yellow and orange. I'm going to use the yellow all over. Then I'm going to grab the orange and just put it down each side there and blend to the middle. So I'm coming in from the left and pulling towards the center, and then from the right towards the center. So keeping that middle part the lightest. And now I'm going to do the little eyes, and I'm using the light violet for the eyes. And again, I'm just keeping the color down towards the bottom and then pulling it up towards the top of his eyes there. So now going back to that yellow, I'm going to do the eye on this little alien here. And I'm using the orange again. Again, keeping that color down towards the bottom and then pulling it up. And then I'm going to use the same two greens that I used on the spaceship to do this little alien. So I really just selected a small handful of colors, and you'll see that I keep repeating these colors over and over. I just didn't want it to get too many colors. So now I'm just pulling that darker color up from the bottom up towards the top there. Now for this little one here, I'm going to color it the exact same way that I did for the one in the spaceship because they're similar looking, so I decided to keep those the same color. Then for this little one here, I'm going to use some yellow on the little antennas there. And then I'm going to be using light violet and violet to color in his body. So I'm starting off with that lighter color. Then I'm adding the darker color again on each side. And then I'm going to pull in towards the center, just like I did before. So now that that's all set, I'm going to color in the little packages, and I'm just going to use a combination of all the colors that we've already used to color those in. So there you can see that a little bit closer. So now I'm going to create the roof. This is the rooftop border, and I'm going to be die cutting that from the paper bag cardstock. And for the chimney, I'm going to be using the rainbow cardstock, and I'm using that red, which is called chili pepper red. Now I've cut the cardstock to 4¼ inches wide because that's going to be the width of our card. And I'm going to line this up with the left-hand side of the cardstock. And that will make all of my layers line up perfectly when we're done. So I'm just taping those down with a little bit of purple tape. So again, you want to line up that roof with the left side. And then I'm going to die cut that 2 times. So I'll end up with 4 scalloped panels. Now for the chimney, I wanted to add a little bit of shadowing on here. So I'm using the aged mahogany, and I'm going to go ahead and use my life-changing brush and just apply a little bit of color to each side of that chimney. And that's going to give it a little bit of a highlight down the center. Then I'm cleaning that brush off on a clean towel, and I'm going to switch colors now. I'm going to use the ground espresso. So now I'm going to add some ink right along the edges of this scalloped border. And you do want to keep these in order so that they'll just line up perfectly when we go to assemble them. So then I'm just going to take that brush and I'm pulling a little bit of that color up into the roof there a little bit. And you can see that there. So now with the glue tube, I'm going to go ahead and glue these together. So I'm gluing that little topper on the chimney. And now I'm going to glue these scallops together. And again, they're going to line right up. So I'm going to go from the top down to the bottom there and just glue these together. So I just need a little dot of glue on the bottom of each of these scallops. And I went ahead and attached all 4 of those together. You can see how cute that is. So now I'm coming back in with the life-changing brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit more color to the sides and a little bit along the top of the roof line there. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my pen in the dark gray, and I'm going to go ahead and just highlight the bricks a little bit here. I'm just following that stitch line on the bricks and just kind of just defining those a little bit better. And then I am going to add a little bit of that color right along that bottom edge there. And then I'm going to use my blender pen and just kind of blend that just a little bit here. Now I want to add a little bit of a snowy effect to the roof. So I'm using my textured white Lawn Fawn embossing powder and my embossing ink pen. And I'm just going to draw a little bit of that embossing ink right along the top of the chimney there, sprinkle on my embossing powder, and then tap off the excess. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the roof here. I'm adding a little bit of snow to each of those scallops. And you'll notice that I didn't dry the ink, the distress ink, the ground espresso ink off at all, because I want a little bit of that powder to get stuck to some of that ink there, and you'll see it here in a second. And then I'm going to also add a little bit of that embossing ink right along the top of the roof line here, just kind of randomly. And there you can see those little spots of powder there, which I think give it a nice effect. Now, if you didn't like that look, you could dry this off before you put your embossing ink and embossing powder on, if you want it to be more defined. But I kind of liked that random look about it. So now I'm using my heat tool to heat set this embossing powder. And then after I did the chimney, I decided it needed a little bit more. So I'm coming back in with that embossing ink, just putting a little bit more of the ink on. Then I'm going to sprinkle some more powder on there and heat set that again. So you can add more layers of the embossing powder as you go if you want to. So I like how that looks now. Now let's go ahead and die cut the panel for the card. So I'm going to use the outside in stitched rectangle stackable dies, and I'm going to grab that largest one, and you see it leaves that beautiful stitched border. And then I'm going to create that light coming from the little spaceship. So all I need is the die. I'm going to be using the Gina K Masking Magic, and I've just cut a piece that's maybe about 4 inches wide here. And I'm going to go ahead and place that die on the mask, kind of in the center there, and I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. Now we're going to keep that little piece that pops out, and this piece here, we're going to use that as the mask to create the light on our card. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of figure out exactly where I want that to be. So I want it to be over the chimney, so I'm just kind of temporarily laying this out. And I'm going to place that die down just so I kind of know where that light needs to be. Now what I'm going to do is just remove everything from the card here. Just leave that die in place. Then I don't have to mark it with a pencil or anything. What I'm going to do is remove the backing from the masking paper. That's going to leave it with a sticky back. And then I'm just going to position it down here, right where that die is. And now I can move the die out of my way. And that way I didn't have to add any pencil lines. Now you do want to make sure you press this down really well. You want to seal it up all around those edges because we're going to be doing some inking there. So I'm going to use the Squeeze Lemonade Distress Oxide ink, and I'm using my foam applicator tool. I'm going to add a nice even layer of this Squeeze Lemonade all over there in that area. Then I'm going to take the Festive Berries, and I'm just going to add that up towards the top. And then I'm going to go back to the Squeezed Lemonade applicator, and without adding any more ink, I'm just going to blend that down. I'm just kind of pulling it down. Just wanted that light coming from the spaceship to have a little bit more depth to it. So now I can easily remove that mask, and you see that we get that beautiful look underneath. And then what I'm going to do is save this because I do want to make a couple more of these cards. So I'm just putting that paper backing right back on there, and I'm going to save that for another project. So now, and I can store that mask with my die set or my stamp set, and that way I'll always have it. And now I'm going to remove the backing. I heat set this just to make sure that my masking would stick down nicely. And now I'm adding that mask right over the light area that we did. So now I'm pressing that down nice and firmly there to make sure it's stuck all the way around. And using my Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of determine where I need that ink to be. So kind of above that roof line. And then I'm going to give a nice even coating of this tumbled glass all the way around this panel. And you can see how easily I can go right over that mask without it moving around. So once I have a nice coating of that, I'm going to come in with the Stormy Sky. And for this, I'm going to go around the edges. because I want to leave that area in the center the lightest. And next, I'm going to go back to the tumbled glass and just blend that out just a little bit there. And now I'm going to take the chipped sapphire, which is this absolutely gorgeous blue. It really works well for like a winter sky. And I'm just, again, going to come in a little bit, not quite as far as I did with the stormy sky. And then I've got one final color here, the black soot. And I'm going to bring that in, again, just a little ways in here. Just kind of creating a frame around this light source here. And now I'm going to go in reverse order with my applicator tools. So I'm going from dark to light here, and I'm not adding any ink to the applicators. I'm just using them to blend my colors together. Now you see when I remove that mask, we get that beautiful light underneath. Again, I'm going to keep this little mask for future projects, and I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm spritzing it with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer, and I'm going to blot that up with a paper towel. That's going to leave some nice little splotches there. Now I did decide to add some gesso. So this is white gesso, and I spritzed it with a little bit of water, and I'm just tapping it on with a paintbrush there and just adding a little spatter. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the liquid Stardust, and this is from Lawn Fawn, and it's this beautiful sparkly glittery liquid. And I'm spritzing it with a little bit of water, and I'm going to do the same exact thing I did with the gesso and just spatter that on. And that's going to give us a nice glittery effect to the sky. And I'm going to heat set that whole thing. And now you can see the sky, and I hope that you can see the glitter there as well. Now taking my tumbled glass applicator, I'm just going to go over that light just a little bit. I just want to make it look a little bit cloudy there. So very little. And I didn't add any ink to it. I just used what was already on there. So going back to my stamp set, I'm going to take the words "have" and "out of this world." And from this stamp set here, the word Christmas and the exclamation point. And this is from the Winter Skies set. So I've gone ahead and placed those stamps in my Misty Stamp Positioner. And I've already lined those up. Now for that sentiment, I did have to cut that one in half here. So have and out of, and then I cut it there with my scissors. So you just want to carefully cut it, so that way you can cut these images up any way you need them to be. So I went ahead and stamped that sentiment with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And now I have a standard A2 size card. It's a top folding card, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this panel. And I'm using my 1/4 inch double-sided tape. And I'm just going to center that on my card. Now I've got the roof and the chimney here. And I did cut the roof at 4 1/4 inches, so it will go the full length of the card. Not the width of the panel, but the width of the card. And I did that intentionally, but you can do it just the width of that panel if you prefer. So I'm adding some 1/4 inch double-sided tape to the chimney and the roof here. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing and then just position these in place. So now I want to attach my little spaceship. I'm going to be using the Gina K foam squares. And I'm going to go ahead and just place a few of these on the back of my little spaceship. And I'm going to attach that to my card. And that's going to give us a little bit of dimension there. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the rest of these. For the little packages, I just glued those down. And this one I did want to tuck in behind that chimney a little bit. So I'm just lifting it there and just sliding it in behind there a little bit. And then for all the little aliens on the roof, I did pop those all up with a little bit of the foam squares. So I'm just going to remove the backing from all of these and attach these to the card. And I'm going to have these two little aliens holding a package as well. So now I'm going to take my glitter pen and I'm going to go ahead and glitter all of the little aliens. And if the pen gets a little bit of color on it, just go ahead and clean it off on a paper towel or on a scrap piece of paper, because you don't want to transfer those colors. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm just scribbling it on a scrap paper and cleaning it off, or on a paper towel. Either way would work. And then I'm putting a little glitter on each of the bows on the packages. And I'm also going to add a little glitter under the snow here on the roof and then on each of the little scallops, just to kind of give a little glittery, snowy effect there. And also on the top of the chimney. Now I'm going to use my Nuvo Crystal Glaze, and I'm going to put a little glaze on all of the little eyes on my aliens. That's just going to add a little bit more dimension, and I'm putting it also on the little lights on the spaceship. So this card was created for the Lawn Fawn blog challenge, the Cards for Guys challenge, which there's a link to at my blog. So let me know what you think. Are these little aliens Santa's helpers, or are they helping themselves to some gifts? Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.